Hello, welcome to the Pattern Drafting Pro. My name is Umo and I'm the founder of University of Pattern Drafting. If you are not already subscribed to this channel, ensure that you hit the subscribe button like right now, because on this channel I'm going to be sharing pattern drafting and sewing videos showing my work as a professional pattern maker. So be prepared to be thrilled and be prepared to improve your sewing and pattern making skills. So today we're going to be sewing and drafting the pattern for this halter neck dress with a cutout at the center front. And first off, we're going to start with an analysis of the design. So this is an halter neck dress with a cutout at that center front. So we'll start out by drafting out your basic bodice pattern before we now go ahead to create the Burstier pattern from that, and then we would do the halter neck before we now go ahead to create that cutout at the center front. So first off, I'm starting by creating a horizontal line at the top of my paper. This line is going to serve as where I'm going to start my drafting from, and then I proceed to mark my chest line, which is 5.5 inches, my bust pant line, which is 10 inches, my underbust line, as well as my natural waistline. And then I'm just going ahead to mark the same thing on this other side, just so that I can have a straight line. I'm going ahead to draw out all these horizontal lines, and I'm still going to proceed to draw this out with marker, just so that you can see this clearly. And then this is my bust point line. And then next thing, I'm going to go ahead and create my armhole box. Now, to create my armhole box, I'm going to first start by imputing my shoulder width measurement divided by 2, which is 7 inches, and then I'm proceeding to impute my armhole depth line, which is 8 inches. Now I'm drawing out my armhole box, as you can see, and then I'm going to proceed to draw out my shoulder slant, which is 3/4 inches. And so I'm just using a diagonal line to connect that to the top left edge of my pattern paper. Now I'm going ahead to impute my arc measurements. My arc measurements are my circumference measurements divided by 4. So this is my bust arc that I'm imputing. I'm going ahead to also impute my waist arc, and then I'm just connecting those two lines. And then I'm just going ahead to trace this out with marker, just so that you can see this clearly. So this is essentially my block for the front, and I'm going ahead to draw out my block for the back. So for the back, I'm just going to trace out this block that I've drawn. I use tracing paper to draft my patterns, so this makes things easier. I'm just going to go ahead and trace this out. Now remember that the back vertical measurements are usually shorter than the front vertical measurements. So watch what I'm going to do here. So first off, I'm tracing out the shoulder slants for the back. Is going to be the exact same thing. The armhole box as well is going to be the exact same thing. However, for the vertical measurements, it is going to be slightly different. Now, what's most important is that your shoulder to waist in front is longer than your shoulder to waist at the back, and based on your measurements you should find that disparity. Mine is usually about 1 inch, so you would notice that I'm raising all of my vertical measurements by 1 inch. However, you don't need to raise the bust point line and the underbust line, that's optional, but the waistline you need to raise by 1 inch if that's how much the disparity between your front shoulder to waist and your back shoulder to waist is. If you don't know how to take accurate measurements, if you don't know what all of this is about, I have online classes which you can check out. My website is www.universityofpatterndrafting.com, so you can head over to my website and take more detailed courses. So this is my back pattern that I have drafted, as you can see, and I'm just going to proceed to cut that out, but I'm not going to cut out the arm side. If you notice, I just cut it out as a straight rectangle. So this is my back pattern. You can also see the disparity between the front and the back. The back is shorter than the front. So I'm just cutting this out, and then I'm going to proceed to work on my front pattern. Now this is my bust span measurement that I am imputing. I think my bust span is about 3.5 inches, and that's what I was imputing. So impute your bust span measurement on your bust point line and your natural waistline, and then just connect it using a vertical line. So next thing you're going to do is to add 1.5 inches to that bust span measurement, and then mark that on your chest line, and then proceed to connect that to your bust span line on your bust point. Now when connecting that line, ensure that you don't have a sharp angle there, because the bust isn't a sharp angle, it is curved, it's a smooth curve. So you can see me using a smooth curve to curve that. And then next thing, impute your dart at that chest line. For small and medium sizes, you can use 3 inches. For plus sizes, the pattern drafting method is different. I have a class on basic pattern drafting and advanced pattern drafting, so you can join those classes to learn more about how to draft patterns for plus size ladies. Now this is me after imputing the 3 inches dart. I'm going ahead to connect that line again to the bust point. Can you see that? And you can see that it is a curve, it's not a sharp edge. Now the next step is to impute your dart at the underbust. Now the formula for that is bust circumference minus underbust circumference divided by 4. So that's what you can see me marking there. Mine is 1 3/4 inches, and that's what you can see me marking. And now I'm using my pattern master. Ensure that, as usual, you shouldn't have an angle there. You should have a curve. You can already see the curve of the bust. Can you see? It has already taken the shape of the bust. So that's what you have there. And then I'm going to go ahead and impute my dart on my natural waistline as well. So the total width of your dart at the natural waistline should be the difference between your bust and your waist circumference measurements. So go ahead and find what that is and then share that on both sides of that bust span line. However, you can use another sharing formula, which is what I used here. So here I marked 1/4 inch on the center front side of the bust span line, and then I'm marking 1 inch on the other side. And so that's what I have done, and I'm going ahead to just connect those points. So now let's go ahead to draw out the neckline. For the neckline, I'm going to be using that 6.5 inches that you saw me marking, and I'm just going to go ahead and connect those points, and then I have a straight horizontal line. That is where my halter neck is going to start from. And then I'm going ahead to just draw out my arm side. That's my arm side line. And then for my neckline, the neckline width I'm using is 2.5 inches and the depth is 2.5 inches as well. And I'm just going to go ahead and connect that. You can use your French curve for this if you aren't a professional. And the next thing, I'm going to go ahead and draw out that halter neckline. So just measure 2 inches from your center front along that line that you've drawn, the neckline that you've drawn, and then connect that to the chest line. Can you see what I'm doing? And then next thing, we're just going to proceed to draw out that cutout. Now for that cutout, you're just going to sort of like freestyle, because you're trying to exactly replicate a design. I freestyled mine, and what I drew turned out to be wider than what it is in the picture, so ensure that yours isn't this wide. I'm just freestyling. You can see I'm looking at the picture and just trying to replicate what I can see, but make yours as tiny as possible. Or if yours isn't so tiny, if yours is kind of wide, ensure that when you're cutting out, you impute seam allowance, just so that it isn't, wider than what it is, because if it is too wide, then it makes it difficult for the client to wear, especially if the client isn't keen on exposing her cleavage area. So you can see me just trying until I'm sure that I've drawn out what it is. Until I'm sure that what I have drawn out looks more like what it is in the picture. And then I'm going to proceed to just trace this out with marker, just so that you can see it clearly. So if yours is like this, then ensure that when you're cutting, you impute seam allowance, just so that it makes the cutout just really, modest. So these are my darts that I'm just shading with red marker. And then now I'm just going to proceed to draw out my side dart, so that my side seam at the front can match with my side seam at the back, seeing as my back length back to waist is shorter than my front back to waist. So this is a dart as well. And now I'm just going to proceed to draw my back. Now my back is pretty basic. Just draw out the bust span line, impute your darts, and then you are good to go. Now I'm going ahead to impute my back neckline. So for the width it is 2.5 inches and for the depth is 3/4 inches. And then I just connected the points, and then I marked that same 2 inches and I'm connecting it back again to my chest line. Can you see that? So that's what the back basically looks like. Now remember that there's no form of seam allowance on this pattern, so you need to impute seam allowances before you go ahead to cut that out. So I just dropped my back neckline just because, maybe because I wanted it to be slightly deeper. So it's still the same thing that I'm doing, and then I'm also going to go ahead and adjust that arm side as well. That's basically what I have just done. Now I'm going ahead to cut out my pattern. Now watch how I'm going to eliminate the side front dart. You can see what I did there. I eliminated that dart so that the side seam of the front can match the side seam of the back, and I'm just going ahead to cut this out. Now there's no seam allowance on this pattern, so ensure that you impute your seam allowances. And then if you are not subscribed at this point, I mean, why? Ensure that you pause right now and hit the subscribe button, because I'm also going to upload the part 2 where I'm going to show you how I cut on fabric and how I stitched together, and also I'm going to be showing you the final results. Now remember that to sign up for any of my online classes, you can head on to my website www.universityofpatterndrafting.com, and if you want to buy sewing patterns, either you hit me up on WhatsApp using this number that you can see on the screen, or you send me a DM on Instagram. And this is what the final result looked like. I just went ahead to drape this, so watch out for part 2 where I'm going to be showing you the whole process of the sewing video. I'm sure that you've learned a lot from this video. If you learned a lot, please ensure that you give this video a thumbs up. Ciao guys.